G'day guys, this is Full Power Pillock here again, and today what we're doing is 5 rooms that will make you fall in love with the new Caves and Cliffs update. So without further ado, let's have a look at the first one. Now this one is rather simple. You'll notice that I do have RTX turned on today because we're doing more of a building video, and RTX, let's be honest, is basically the pinnacle of building. So what we have is pretty much a very simple and very elegant sort of feature wall that would feature in most sort of modern houses and things like that. Now I do love in the real world walls like this where they're kind of like a grass or foliage that is basically against the wall. I love those so much. So obviously I had to make it a Minecraft, but what we have is obviously some particle effects by our blooming friends up there, and as you can see, it's added that little bit more of a living world. That's kind of what I really like about it. You see, it's not just enough to have something where I've just realized I'm talking with my hands and you can't actually see it. So it's not enough that we just have a feature wall. I like the fact that it gives us that little bit of ambient sort of feel, something that does make it feel like it's a little bit alive. And I think that's what the Caves and Cliffs update is actually mostly about. You see, most of the stuff in the Caves and Cliffs actually make the world of Minecraft feel that little bit more alive, a little bit more lived in, a little bit more active than it has been. You see, most builds and things like that in Minecraft can get a little lonely if you're on a single player world, or they can get a little bit tiresome, whereas this brings that little bit of life to Minecraft, and I think that's wonderful. But maybe this room's not enough to convince you. That's entirely true. Let's have a look at the next one then. So somewhere through here is a wall. Yep. Okay, so this one, I do absolutely love these tiles. These are fantastic. Just the sound that these make is just wonderful. And this room is really just to sort of show this sort of dark and sort of purple ominous sort of feel. Now you don't have to build things like this, and probably would look a lot better if it was a lot bigger. But at the same time, I think it does its job. I think it does bring in this whole sort of mystic sort of feel, especially when you're sort of walking around, you get this wonderful sounds that sort of activating just beneath your feet. It does remind me a lot of Java's sort of redstone blocks it used to get. Well, still get, but this is bedrock, so we don't really get them. But when you stand on the redstone ore blocks that, you know, just off in the wild or have been silk touched, they actually activate when you stand on them. Whereas bedrock, yeah, we can't use that as a detecting device, but this gives us that little bit of a nostalgia sort of feeling, but also at the same time, it is something that does make the world feel that little bit more alive, which is pretty cool, I reckon. And I hope you guys like the lanterns. They're kind of a mixture of sort of some blues and purples. It really sort of fits into everything. Probably could have spaced them out a little bit better though. This one's a little bit better spaced out, but yeah, give and take. I think that this room's not too bad. It does have this sort of, I don't know, it's kind of like a dark but a warm feeling. It doesn't give you this sort of feeling of fear. It's more of this feeling of sort of calm and relaxed and mystical sort of feelings, which is good. It's good that we can naturally make Minecraft feel a little bit more like this, which is something that we haven't really had too much of before. But let's say, for instance, this room didn't convince you of anything, and neither did the last one. Let's move on to something else. So through here, what we have is the complete opposite. This is dark, but obviously a lot more sort of ominous sort of feeling. If you look at my character, obviously I'm getting a lot of the red sort of glows and a lot of the orange, and everything's just sort of broken up a bit. It's got this deep sort of feeling of dread and disaster. I mean, if you came across something like this in a survival world, you'd probably avoid it. You'd honestly probably avoid it. But at the same time, I do like these dripstones. You see, you do naturally get the lava sort of falling down, that sort of thing. But these definitely add that little bit more of an atmosphere to it. But not only that, but it also increases the rates of the actual particle effects. So we're getting a lot more sort of dripping down. This could be something that you could possibly use as a volcano base or something like that. That would suit it really well, because not only now are we getting lava underneath us, we're getting a lot of it on top of us. It feels like we're completely surrounded by a completely dangerous area. It is quite cool in my own thoughts. But maybe this room's not enough. Maybe the last 2 rooms are also not enough for you. Well, I have something up next. Now, this next one is basically something that people hated when it sort of came out. And yeah, to be honest, I think that people don't entirely like the mob choice of Minecraft. You all know what I'm going to say. It's obviously the glow squid. And I've been a little bit disappointed so far, like not massively, but a little bit, because RTX hasn't worked with them as far as I could see so far. Hopefully one day they will, but maybe this room will make you like them. Quite possibly. You see, what we have is a mirrored room, and this is just magical. So this obviously doesn't go on forever, but it does go on for an extremely long period of time, and we do get these wonderful squids which look very amazing under this sort of a situation. I like this room quite a lot. You do lose yourself in it quite easily, and it does make you feel like things are sort of everywhere. I guess they pretty much are everywhere. But have a look at this. I just love the lanterns sort of going around. You can see where the actual mirror effect ends, because obviously this is not the real world, and RTX only repeats so many times before it has to stop, because otherwise it will melt down your whole GPU. But that's where basically those shadow areas that you can see, I gotta stop pointing with my hands. That's where those shadow areas that you can see are really sort of coming in. It's that limitation that we do have with RTX, but it still works with everything else, and it particularly works quite well with these glow squid. That wasn't actually a real one. No, that's not a real one. That one's a real one. Okay, so how this is working is that because it's based on what I can see, if I was to say look at its reflection but not the actual original one, then it actually disappears. Let's see. There we go. So now I'm not in an area that I can see the original one, and when it comes back into an area where I can see the original one, that's where it flickers back up. Weird sort of explanation and weird sort of working of how things all sort of work with RTX, but it is very cool. It is very magical. I do think I've lost my way. Nope, that's the way I came in. Okay, let's go back around this way. Yes, okay, here we go. So the last one is something yet again very different. Now, I've again used the mirrored blocks, but for a very sort of different use. And this hallway is a bit sort of long. I've had to crouch while walking along here, otherwise it gives away a little bit too much over what this is. This is kind of like a touching on a previous project that I was working on some time ago. And I believe I should be right where I need to be now. So if I go forward, hey, check it out. There we go. So what this is I've got obviously the sculpt sensors, and we have ourselves a little bit of a room. A little bit of a dance room, which is very cool. The top is actually mirrored blocks, so they're just reflecting whatever's down here. So yes, it's a very interesting sort of room. I do like this. It does feel a lot more active. I think that's what this update is really more about, is something that feels much more active, something that makes the world feel much more alive, and I think this does the job. It does do really well. This room's just, you know, I love dancing. Dancing's fun. But it's definitely fun. I would definitely dance in a room like this. Not as sort of striking as the previous room, but it is very cool nonetheless. I would love to have some sort of more wave patterns occur here. I might have to fiddle around with the redstone a little bit, but that's a project for another day, because obviously There's only so many hours in a day. So I hope that one of these rooms has helped convince you that the new update is going to be fantastic. Even if you haven't gotten everything that you wanted in the next update, just think about it, that basically there's still going to be lots of fun things to play with. And not only that, but it'll make your world feel like it's actually being lived in. So, as I'm fading out to grey, I guess I better say catch you later, guys, and hope you enjoyed the episode. Oh man, one day I'm going to learn how to talk. But I'll catch you later, guys. See ya. Bye. I just broke the mirrors. Oh, bollocks.